Alright guys, you got your boy Jet Stingren here today, and today we're back. I know it's been a minute. I know I've been kind of busy with life, but I mean, hey, we here. I'm a little bit late to talk about this, so I'll go ahead and do it now. We're going to be giving our overview of Marduk. He is currently out in the game right now. If you haven't seen him already, then I am late. Anyway, obviously, for this video, I usually get these out before the character comes out, but I'm a little bit late. I'm terribly sorry. I've been super busy, as I said before. But let's go ahead and let's talk about the boy Marduk and what is he bringing to the table. So this is our boy Marduk over here. He is a ranged DPS character hailing from Asterism. He's a physical-based support unit, where basically he is a character that can shoot a lot of guns. Okay, he's got guns, he's got drones, he's got a lot of cool little mechanics, and let's go and talk about it. So let's go and talk about his basic. So his basic is his Raging Serpent, which is a gun to execute 2 shots for a maximum 450% of physical damage. Then summon a storm model or summon a storm mode drone to conduct covering fire in the area, dealing up to 12 bombardment, each dealing a max of 26.6 physical damage. So basically, every time he fulfills off his basics, a little drone comes out, does additional damage. Not a lot of additional damage, I will admit. Only 22.6 is fairly low. Even if it's just extra damage, still a little low. When using skill 1's base damage, increase effect duration. Last sequence of basic attack will summon a storm mode drone and self a roll forward towards the fire 3 consecutive shots. Every shot dealing a max 255 more physical damage. And he obtains 1 stack of firepower count for every energy consumed for a max of 300 stacks. Complete the reloading animation after the last basic getting 40 firepower count, which is, you know, fairly easy. When fire count is max, hold the basic stat in the Raging Serpent growl state. Now this is basically his turret mode, basically. That's like the best way I can say. He goes from a bit like agile, well, not agile, I shouldn't say agile, like Ocean is agile. He goes from like more moving to more stationary when he's in a turret mode. So keep in mind, when you're in his turret mode, you kind of want to make sure that you're at a good distance away from the enemy, obviously, so you don't take a lot of damage. But he does get some bonuses to protect himself, so there's that. Anyway, so as I said before, it does it just sprays a lot of damage to enemy, consuming 12 per round every 2 seconds, dealing max of 8,152 physical damage. This is also considered skill damage, and during which no firepower count can be obtained for a 5-second max duration. And of course, he is an energy character, which allows him to gain every single energy per second. So yeah, basically, there's a little bar at the bottom of Marduk's playstyle, right? This little bar will continuously build up over and over as you use his skills and abilities. And when that bar reaches the max, then you can fire off that turret mode and start just kind of going just crazy. He's basically like, and I got guns. He's basically Aether Gazer Punisher over here, where he's just like, oh yeah, you don't like this gun? Well, I got this gun. That's basically Marduk in a nutshell. Anyway, let's go talk about his skill 1. Skill 1, it fires consecutive shots of Raging Serpent, dealing a max of 255.3% of physical damage. Every shot increases team skill 1 base damage by 5%. Lasts for 5 seconds. Every stack refreshing the duration, increasing again by 1 for a max of 3 stacks. So that means that's 15% skill 1 base damage up, which is, I mean, that's good. I mean, I would have just preferred if he had just generic skill damage up just out the gate. Granted, I mean, it's a 12 seconds and you can get that, and you can refresh the cooldown pretty consistently, but still, you know what I mean? That's just When the skill end, decreases remaining skill based on the amount of shots not fired. Every shot I fired decreases the skill 1 cooldown by 20%, which is really good because you can really maneuver around this really good because it's a lot of cooldown that you can really get reduced. When sub energy is matched, skill 1 will be changed to supporting fire tactics, which is a more stronger version and has a much shorter cooldown. But supporting fire tactics consumes starting energy, calling alarm rate to bombard the field area along head, which it does a max of 212 physical damage. When we're in Raging Serpent ground state, energy is max, automatically concludes to cast supporting fire tactics. So basically, when you're in his turret mode, his S1 will automatically cast to do any automatic damage for you, which is good. That means you don't have to worry about maneuvering or anything. So there's that. Next up is bombard enemies with Raging Serpent, dealing a max of 1,500 physical damage, and it's basically 1,400. Inflicts enemy with a stun status for 4 seconds, which is pretty good. Summons fierce mode drones to hitting an enemy, which deals a maximum of 50% damage. and increase primary consumption by 20% after skill cast that lasts for 7 seconds. And his passive, whenever separate teammates summon drones, which he can summon drones based off teammates as well, it increases the skill 2 cooldown by 0.4 seconds, and energy consumption increases by 2. This affects max cooldown can drop all the way down to 6 seconds. The max energy consumption is 30 seconds, so not bad, not bad, not bad. Skill 3, he'll throw a little grenade, which does a max of 1500% physical damage, and it will briefly gather enemies. We haven't really seen too many things with gathering enemies, to be honest. I think there's not really too many things that gather enemies together. This is really good for certain characters, which I'll talk about that in like recommended partner section, because him being a support kind of wants you to play a specific way. You're not gonna really main Marduk, so to speak, because again, support. But I'll talk about it. Afterwards, summons ferocious wind mode drones to promote the area for 320% physical damage, increases firepower count by 20% after skill cast, which is lasts for 7 seconds. Really good. And of course, it gets the same thing as the skill 2, where if you if yourself or teammates summon drones, you get a reduction in cooldown. So really good, really good. Basically, it's the same thing. And then his unique dodge, he gets self-damage reduction for 21.4% of damage, and increasing when further gone based on the amount of firepower stacks, and every stack increases damage by additional 0.1 for 7 seconds. So basically, if you time his dodge really well, then you can just get damage reduction, which of course keeps him sustained. Now, let's talk about his Aether codes, because that's important. So, yellow 1. Energy consumption supporting is dropped by 10. Radius per ground will generate 2 additional energy per second. Now that's good. That basically means he can get into it more quicker, and of course that is going to help his overall DPS. And drones other than stormwater mode will do increased damage based on the amount of firepower count stacks. Each raging gets stacked by 0.1%. And the skill 1 cooldown reduction effect will carry to skill 2 skill 3 cast, which basically makes his cooldowns really accelerate themselves, which is really good. But yeah. So let's talk about the red code. So red code is when attacked during a basic sequence or during skill 1 running animation, you will attain a dodge effect. With dodge effect is active, every hit with skill 1 says will increase the skill 1 cooldown by 20%. This is really good because the bulk of what you get for his supporting capability is from the skill 1. To be honest, the scum thing is cool, but the skill 1 base damage, which is increased for a team, is something you can use. So I really do like that. So skill 3 will leave behind a guiding beacon. Enemies within the guiding beacon will take 10% more damage from drone other than stormwater mode. Guiding beacon will also deal 2,000 physical damage when the drones leave the field. This is considered skill damage. And when Aether code, this one here, is active, the other ones cannot be lost, which is good. Drones other than stormwater will do increased damage based on the amount of firepower count stats, each dealing a 0.1% of damage boost. So that's good. Let's talk about blue. So blue, whenever he gets ultimate, he gets team range damage increased by 10%. That's really good. Of course, it does favor ranged comps only, but we do have a good amount of ranged units we can use, so that's pretty fine. We'll talk about that in just a moment as well. After activation, his skill 2, Summon Fierce mode, are changed into Whirlwind mode drones, and skill 3's drones are changed from Ferocious Wind drones to Hurricane mode drones. So basically, the drones do change based on, you know, activation of skill and the amount of stacks that he has. So the drones basically get stronger, and this just makes them just stronger without you having to commit the requirement. So we're going to talk about his signature functor before we talk about his partners. So Gen Zone functors, and Asterism is him. And let me see. Oh no, this is Gen Zones. My bad. So Asterism, here it is. Yeah, he has a lot for his. So anyway. So let's talk about it. So when equipped with S Marduk, increases his drone related effects. Nice. When teammates cast skills, randomly summon skill 2 or skill 3 drones, and team's extra attack is increased by 180 and lasts for 18 seconds. Each stack refreshing the duration for a maximum attack increase of 1080 plus 180 per transcendence for 20 seconds, and for summoning. You get 20 seconds cooldown reduction for summoning either types of drones for each teammate. And let's go ahead and talk about the bonus itself. Fierce Mirror Mode gets energy reduction by 10%. Team Skill 2 base damage will be increased, and it increases for a number of stacks for 2. So that basically means you get 10% Skill 2 base damage up. You get the same thing from for Skill 3, but you get energy gain rate up instead. And you also get the Team 3 skill damage up for 5%, which again, another percent of damage up. Whirlwind mode, whenever teammates summon this drone, you get 5% elemental resistance down for a maximum of 2 stacks, I believe it is. So yep, 2 stacks for 10% elemental reduction down. And hurricane mode increases the crit rate whenever a teammate summons this drone, which lasts for 12 seconds. And while zero time effect is active, when entering the zero time effect, my bad. The effect duration can be refreshed and shared with teammates. Every stack refreshing duration for a max of 10 stacks. So that's 10% crit rate up. So yeah. So I was going to talk about him as an overall character. So as an overall character, he does need his functor. Like he needs his functor because on base, his overall like supportive capability isn't that great. His ultimate does add physical defense down, which of course does add more to his supporting role. But in terms of him as a standalone character, outside of the physical damage, outside from the ranged damage up and the skill 1 damage up, he doesn't really do a lot for support. But if you get him with this functor, then his support capabilities become way better. He gives you crit rate up, he gives you a flat attack up, and he gives you all the other stuff coming from the functor. So if you do want to invest in Marduk, then getting him with functor is bare minimum required. If you want to talk about his Aether codes, I would say maybe red is probably the best. If you're going range comp, then go blue. I will go maybe even just blue 1 and just these two right here. But I do think the red 3 is pretty good because it's just additional damage. You can even go blue 1, red 2 for more of a universal build, I feel. Because being able to group enemies together with a skill 3 and then having that big nuke at the end with a 2000% physical damage can help. So maybe even blue 1, red 2 might be potentially a comp for him. I think that might be good. Or even just full on blue or full on red, full on blue might just be the thing that you go for him depending on the type of comp that you run. But the general question is, should you pull for Marduk? Now, I'm not too sold on Marduk. I'm honestly going to keep it a band with you. I'm not going to say that he's terrible. He's not. Definitely not. He's okay. He's an okay support. He does provide a lot, but not a lot of a lot, essentially. You know, when we look at other supports and we look at, you know, the supportive capability, a lot of them do a lot for your team. Even Heimdall, who is an A tier support, A ranked support, she does a little bit more support than what Marduk is doing. You know what I mean? So I don't really think his support is that noticeable. I mean, it's noticeable, but it's not that great. You know what I mean? It's just you know, it's pretty good. It is what it's an to good. If you have a ranged comp, I think the best ranged comp I would suggest for him is probably Hell, because Hell is probably one of the strongest ranged DPS we have. Marduk, and then another third filler for range. Now, the filler for range could be anybody, or you can even just throw Kingu in there for the ultimate chain, and you do get the asterism bonus while also being there, because Kingu is an asterism unit. They did this right instead of the Oceanus Alo thing. Whenever 2 different gen zones, they're the same gen zone, so that's great. I think that's one of the best parts about because you do get that bonus 15% damage reduction. You also get the 20% defense break. But even then, I think Hell teams now have kind of moved over to Heimdall as their preferred support. But I mean, you could run maybe him, Hell, and Heimdall in a team together, maybe. You know, Heimdall does function fairly well for a support, but most people use early Sakura as the second support option for the Hell teams, or even just like another like DPS, or maybe even a Bazimbo for the ult chain. So I don't know if it's ultimately worth putting in Marduk for the team. Again, it's asterism, and asterism does some pretty good gen zone bonuses. But if you're using if you're using him, then I would just recommend that you probably just go along that way and just move, just use that. I think that. I just think that's what it is. Now, do I think his DPS is good? Not really. He does have some pretty good modes of damage. Obviously, the Raging Serpent Growl state is where his DPS really does shine, but it's not something that's consistent or anywhere up to the par to many of our best DPSs or even supports that can technically deal damage. But since he is a support, damage isn't really an overlying factor for his overall ability. I do think that he is a fine unit. He's not anything worth, breaking the bank over. If you insist on pulling Marduk, I do just say get him an S in Functor. That's it. If you want to get him SS for the stronger Functor ability, then yeah, sure. But again, that's just what I think. I just don't think he's all that. I just think he's just, good, okay, but that's it. Alright, let's talk about the boy Kingu. Now, Kingu is a physical asterism unit, and he is an interesting unit to play around because he has cool little sequences with his basic attack where basically when you do a certain amount of basic attack, like the 5th attack basic attack sequence, you can hold the basic attack button to do an explosive chop, which deals a lot of damage, 400% physical damage. That is a lot. I'm kidding. I'm actually kidding. Sarcasm is real today. But anyway, so each explosion on hit deals for a max of 255 physical damage. Each based on the stacks of Pressure Groove, which is good. Impress and Possession will consume 10 Divine Grace, which and create 1 additional explosion. Ooh. High Pressure Whirlwind Slash will consume all Pressure Grooves to initiate Whirlwind Slash, dealing 200%, a max of 425% physical damage, and 1 stack of Burst Threshold at 15 and 15 Divine Grace for each 1 stack of Pressure Groove that was consumed. Every stack of Burst Threshold increases damage by 10% and lasts for 10 seconds. Within 5 seconds of High Pressure Whirlwind Slash, will be able to use Skill 1, Skill 1 and Skill 3's Chainsaw Mode. Overclock Chainsaw Mode will enhance its basic attacks, but you will not be able to gain a Divine Grace. In the first sequence of basic attacks will consume 10% to deal more damage and exit the state when Divine Grace is insufficient, which means whenever you can't perform the 10 consumption. And yeah, and the state lasts for at most of 10 seconds. Okay, so Great Sword mode. This is the normal S1 of the skill, which you will ram the enemy with the sword, dealing a max of 150 physical damage. Entering the skill's Chainsaw mode on hit, and on Chainsaw mode, he will do the same thing. He will execute a dash attack, dealing a max 957 physical damage, and hold the skill 1 key to consume Divine Grace to extend the skill cast on hit, obtaining 1 stack of Pressure Growth for every 25 Divine Grace consumed, increasing damage for 10%, while also dealing an additional 640% physical damage when in modified mode. The skill damage is increased by 10% in Reverse Great Sword mode on hit. So, okay. Let me see. Attain 100 Divine Grace when successfully blocking a hit, or while in Super Arm mode. Okay, pretty good. That's a pretty good skill 1. Skill 2. Wield Dustin Hunt to launch a series of horizontal physical strikes, dealing a max of 1,064 physical damage. Okay, that is the base version of it. When both horizontal and vertical slashes hit the same enemy, attain 1 stack of Pressure Groove while holding the skill 2 key. Will consume all Divine Grace to extend the slashes on hit, and horizontal slash will deal an additional 640% physical damage. Vertical slash dealing an additional 640% physical damage, and you obtain a Pressure Groove stack for every 25 Divine Grace consumed this way. Okay. And it's skill 3 mode. So this is again just a normal graceful mode. Rapidly slam Dustin Hunt, dealing a max of 1,604.1 damage. All his skills have the same. Oh, never mind. Skill 1's different. Physical damage, and entering Chainsaw mode on hit. In Chainsaw mode, stab Dustin Hunt to the ground, producing shockwaves, dealing a max of 975% of AoE physical damage. Holding skill 3 will consume Divine Grace and extend his skill cast on hit. Obtain 1 stack of Pressure Growth for every 25 Divine Grace expended. Increases damage 30%, while also dealing a max of 640% physical damage. When in modified mode, skill damage is increased by 10%. Vertigrade thermal on hit, which again, here's that. So his unique dodge skill does the following. Whenever he dodges, it will not interrupt the basic attack sequence. This basically means that If you are doing 3 slashes when you need to get to the flip slash to do his unique attack sequence, if you dodge out of it, you can still just do the 2 attacks and then get that fifth sequence in that way, which is still pretty good. And when using skill 1 or skill 2 chainsaw mode, evading without any direction hooks will interrupt skill cast, and within intervals 0.8 seconds of evading, follow a basic attack to cast high pressure whirlwind slash, and a dodge effect, he will enter 0 time for 2 seconds and obtain 30 divine grace. So pretty good, pretty good. He's got a pretty good base kit, honestly. I think Kingu's kit is actually pretty fun. But anyway, so let's talk about his skills. So Mesh Pressure Group stats can be increased by 2. He can do a special chop after every basic attack sequence. And he will enter Super Armor state at the beginning of a special chop, which can block enemy attacks. When successfully blocking an attack, his own crit rate will increase by 15%, crit rate will increase by 35%, and it will last for 12 seconds. Jeez, that's really good. That's a really, really good bonus. Especially since you can just explosive chop just out of the gate. That's kind of good. Anyway, casting high pressure 1% will also enter overclock chainsaw mode. This method of entering overclock chainsaw mode can last at most of 7 seconds. Okay. Basic attacks during overclock chainsaw mode will also generate divine grace. Okay. That means he can stay into the mode a little bit longer. Okay. And when attacks hit during overclock chainsaw mode, decrease the physical resistance of enemies by 10% last 7 seconds. Ooh. That can offer him some form of physical support for physical teams. Athena might like that, actually. Athena comps might like having AI. I think AI would like this build. I think AI Kingu might like mono red. But anyway, let's see what the blue is before I freak out over it. When casting high pressure whirlwind slash and consuming pressure group, obtain 25 divine grace for every stack of pressure group consumed. Ooh, interesting. All right. When skill 1 and skill 2 chainsaw mode or held skill 2 hits, inflict the armor break status on enemies, decreasing their defense by 10%, decreasing an additional 2.5% for each stack of pressure group and procession, and lasts for 7 seconds. Okay. And the damage of skill 1 and skill 2 chainsaw mode will last based on the amount of divine grace consumed during the skill cast, and 1 stack of skill of damage increase for every 2 divine grace consumed. Every stack increases damage for 20% for a max of 6 stacks. So dang, that is a total of what, 100% damage increase for every stack that you get of that. And since divine grace is capped out at 100, I don't see an increase in divine grace here, do I? I don't see it, no. So he could get this within 2 rotations. And it doesn't look like it has a duration, but you can get the 120% damage up, which could be interesting. But if you want my recommendation for codes, I say red. Red seems the best if you're using him. If you're using him, then yeah. If you're using AI, red seems fantastic because physical resistance down is probably the teams you want to slap him on. So if you want to do that, I think that's probably good. Physical teams can cook up with this, you know? They can cook up with him as support. So not bad at all. Of course, Daddy Marduk would appreciate that. You know, that's actually his dad, by the way, wink wonk. But anyway, we already talked about the ultimate. Ultimate's pretty good because it's just defense down anyway. So it does kind of reinforce the red thing a little bit better. So let's take a look at his functor. So he is also an asterism. Let's see. Asterism. Let me see. Oh, they don't have it translated here. Unfortunately, they don't have it translated. Alright, well, that is just kind of what it is then. I guess we are ending the video there. Now, again, do I think you should pull from Marduk? Honestly, not really. I don't think you should. I think it's more so, I think the big reason why I'm more hesitant on not pulling him for the people that are more like free to play is because Thor's coming next patch. And Anubis is coming next patch. I think Anubis is a lot more fun, and I think Thor, if you already have Aether, like you're like a day 1 gold player, or you just off-bannered Aether somewhere down the line, that's gonna be a major spike in terms of team comps. So I do think that the Thor Anubis comp, I mean not the Thor Aether comp, my bad, is a lot more proficient at clearing content than, you know, running a comp between Marduk Kingu and someone else. It could be even just, yeah, it could just be for something else. But I think because the two of them are two different units, it's a little bit difficult to kind of maneuver around them because Kingu's physical melee DPS, while Marduk's physical ranged, which at least they're fittable on teams who are both asterism. But again, it's at least the Marduk can apply some support without gimping himself to only just being to range teams. So if you go the blue build, then you can't use Kingu because he doesn't get the benefit. So, but if you go if you just go normal support Marduk, then you can definitely use Kingu with him. So again, if you want to pull for Kingu and Marduk, I mean, you're probably gonna get go for Marduk, but if you want to pull for Marduk, then you would do better with just pulling him at the at just S Functor. I think that's just where you stop. It's S Functor. But anyway, it's been your boy Jet Stinger, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.